Well, we got John Bell's Street Sleeper sent off, and he did his 4.5-hour trip to Georgia. Everything went well. We've had a little bit of an issue with the heater wasn't working properly, but I think we can work through that through a electrical schematic that I had. So now that one's gone, we're fixing to get on keepers. First order of business on keepers is we had it out front. We steam cleaned all the engine bay. We've steam cleaned all underneath. We're fixing to pull this motor, transmission out. That'll give us another good chance to get the motor and transmission steam cleaned, and all underneath it steam cleaned with the motor and transmission out of it. Then we'll put this engine on the stand. I'll probably put new seals on it, clean it up. The motor seems to really run nice. I don't see any issues with the motor. Well, we're starting our tear down on Keeper's Bronco, and this is some of the stuff we get into. You can see how chopped up in spacers and washers that is on this Ford alternator here. Now, I'm going to change and redo all this, but not only I'm going to change the way this thing mounts and fastens up, I'm going to put a one-wire self-exciting alternator on it. It'll be 140 amps. It's a lot cheaper than what this is, and to deal with all this and a regulator and too many moving parts, we'll just have a self-exciting one-wire alternator. Also, we're fixing to pull the motor and transmission out of this thing. But before we do so, I've driven this thing around. I know the motor runs pretty good. It doesn't smoke. Sounds outstanding. While we pull the plugs out, we've got them numbered so that I can see what the plug looks like out of each cylinder when it comes out. If you notice on the end of this plug, this one here had some rust on it, so that's going to make that plug read a little funny because it's not firing properly. But also, while it's still in there, the starter's still hooked up, the flywheel's still hooked up, so I can do a compression test. And then you can see the other stuff here on the ground that's coming out. It's going to be bag, tagged, labeled. I've got an area over here in the corner where all the Keeper's parts will be inventoried, organized, and checked out. And that when we go back together with this, it'll go right back together a lot more smooth. Now, over here on the Bronco, like I was saying before, having the starter still on here, having the flywheel on it, having it in place, I went ahead and pulled all the plugs out. We had our carburetor off with a plate on here, but I raised it up and put me a little spacer under it so that I can get air into this motor while I do this compression test. Then hook our battery up, put our compression test in here, and we spun this thing over about 5 times for each cylinder with this opened up, and we took and I broke that right here on his repair order. So you can see number 1 had 140, 149, and it's pretty consistent throughout the whole motor, which tells me that this motor is in outstanding shape. A lot of times when I do compression tests, they run about 120. Now camshaft design and head design and stuff like that will raise it up, so this has probably got flat top pistons or something like that, which is probably why it runs so good. So next point of order here is we're going to get these headers out of the way, and we're going to take all the shifter and all that stuff loose. This radiator support does not come out of this vehicle, so it's going to be a little tight fit on what I was wanting to do. So we're going to pull the water pump and the pulleys and stuff and see if I can't pull this whole motor, transmission, transfer case right up and out of here at one time. Then I'll put this motor on the stand, we'll put new gaskets on it, paint it up, go ahead and assemble all the new stuff on it while it's out of the truck so we can make it fit just perfectly, have it painted, paint all this stuff around it, then slip it all right back in there as one unit. So, let's get back to work on this thing. Well, that worked like a champ, Keeper. I know I told you I was going to try to paint this motor down inside there, but as I got to looking at it, it looked like all this would come out in one piece. So I'm going to pull this all out in one piece. That'll help me do my modification and transmission adapter on this while it's out of the truck. I'm going to put this motor on the stand. I'm going to change your oil pan gasket. I'm going to change your valve cover gaskets. I'm going to steam clean this engine and get it where it'll hold the paint. So, yeah, that really worked out good. So let's get this out. We'll get it on the ground, get it split apart, and steam cleaned up.